Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Daily Fan Racing NASCAR Cup Series DFS preview. This time we are talking about Bristol. We got ourselves a nice dirt race this weekend, and I am excited, as always, to be joined. Thank you very much for reminding me of my mistakes by my two amazing co-hosts, looking as good as ever in Ryan Larkin and Jason from DFS NASCAR. We have ourselves an action-packed weekend. A nice little dirt race. And I'm excited to hear your thoughts on it because this is my first dirt race, Durst rate, whatever you want me to call it, that I'll be breaking down with you guys. So I'm excited to talk about it here. Without further ado, let's bring in my friend and the brains behind Daily Fan Racing here. And Ryan, how are you doing this week?
Doing good, man. Excited for a slower pace 2-race weekend. Finally, we had a bunch of Xfinity truck doubleheaders like in a row, like 3 weeks in a row. F1 races, all stuff going on. So this has been a nice, relaxing week. Haven't had to stress too much, and because it's a dirt weekend, you don't really have to prepare too much. There's only so much you can really do with these races. Small sample size in terms of track history, and they've both been chaotic, so it's not like something you can overly prepare for and really get too deep in the weeds, because you're gonna probably be wrong once they start wrecking anyways. But it's been nice. I'm excited to get to it. Hopefully it's an entertaining race. I know I hate dirt racing. I'm not excited for the race itself, but if I'm entertained for a couple hours and I make a few bucks, then it'll be a good show, I guess.
Okay. And what about you, Jason? How are you feeling about this? And how's your week been?
My week's been great, but from a race fan standpoint, like I actually like the Bristol dirt race. Like I like the fact that it's on Easter weekend. I like the tradition of Easter evening Bristol dirt race. I like what they've developed here. The race last year was actually a really good race. I mean, we saw battles for the lead. We saw guys come and go. We actually got to see it run like a dirt track. You know, I feel like NASCAR learned from some mistakes they had with the first year. They changed the track surface. And we got to see, you know, a cushion develop. We got to see guys who were good at dirt racing actually showcase that ability. Like I said, I know it's not NASCAR. It's not what you want to see. If you want to see dirt racing, you'll go to a dirt track, right? But I feel like the show, and it's been it was fun to watch last year. Like I said, I rewatched the race this week, and I was thoroughly entertained again. But from a DFS standpoint, like in betting standpoint, it can be pretty unpredictable. I mean, these cars are not built for dirt, so we see mechanical failures. There can be some unpredictability in that. You don't know who's going to survive to the end. Larkin kind of mentioned some of the chaos. So, yeah, there is that aspect. Gambling DFS might not be as fun. Might need to get a little lucky, but from a race fan, yeah, I'm excited.
All right. Well, I'm excited to break it down with you guys here. We have a comment in the chat already. We're gonna hop into this soon here, Matthew, talking about our drivers to watch. We'll talk about that for sure. But before we do so, a couple things. First of all, thank everybody for 200 subscribers. We're making the climb up to 300. Make sure to hit the like button down below. Subscribe to the channel. Second, let's recap Richmond a bit, because Richmond was something I did watch in its entirety. I had fun watching it, actually, surprisingly. I know you guys said it wasn't gonna be that fun. I didn't mind it. I watched it all. Maybe because there's no fights last week or something like that. Maybe that's why I had it on, but I watched it all. I did okay, actually. I profited once again. I think that's like 4 weeks in a row with you guys. So thank you for your help as always. Shout out to you guys, because I'm not taking any credit for it, but I will appreciate you guys as always. But I'm wondering how you guys went with that one. Ryan, how did it go for you?
I think it sucked, if memory serves. First off, we got the Daily Fan MMA brand logo up here. Gordo.
Sorry.
Jeez,
what do you mean?
Coming out of the MMA
I have no
podcast.
idea what you're talking about.
There we go. Yeah, it was great up until Byron got dumped.
Fair, I agree.
Well, really, it was great until Reddick spun out. So I was super heavy on Truex. He was leading at the time. I was super heavy on Hamlin. In my other side. So I pivoted from Truex and Hamlin, so I was heavier on both ends, and things just got weird down the stretch as a result. And then I had Byron pretty much locked in. So that hurt. That was rough. The Xfinity show, same deal. I was locked in on the Gibbs guys, and they pulled the stupidest strategy I think I've ever seen. But taking no tires at Richmond and then going a lot down as a result. So it was just a weird weekend. I wasn't able to hit on the dominators I needed to. And so from that side of things, I was a little disappointed. As far as the race, I thought the Richmond race as a whole was great. I mean, I thought the show was really good. I thought the action on track was good. It was still difficult to pass for the Cup guys, but it was entertaining enough. You still had the comers and goers. I love the strategy of long runs. Like that long run, I think it was in the second stage, was phenomenal. And you saw the different strategies. You saw Hamlin literally go long, take tires, and then marched through the field because he had fresher tires at the end of that run. So I really enjoyed it. I that's my type of racing, so that was fun. I just wish the profit I had lined up, because it was literally 2.5 hours of just winning. Like I was perfect, and then it's gone in the last 20 laps, which sucks.
Yeah, you know what, man? I remember that I at first was kind of like, okay, Byron's gone. I have a bunch more of other drivers, so it wasn't as important for me. I was doing well on DraftKings. I lost a bet. I had a Byron top 10 bet. Oh my God, what is wrong with me? Jason, what about you? How'd it go?
Yeah, I'll echo Larkin's sentiments there. Yeah, I mean, from a race standpoint, it was a fun race to watch. I kind of wish we would have had a little bit more long green flag runs. It kind of sucked. We had some cautions that broke up some of that. We didn't get to really see that tire wear on display. It feels like that long third stage would have been nice to see. I had a lot of Truex as well, had a lot of Hamlin, had a lot of Byron. So yeah, that all kind of sucked the way that unfolded in the end. I had no Kyle Larson. Like, of course, anytime you make a stand on somebody and you shout from the rooftops that like Larson's not good here, of course he's going to go out and dominate and be awesome. So yeah, that was kind of frustrating. But overall, like I said, I mean, process was good. Process was there. I feel like I was on the right guys. It just didn't shake out in the end.
Yeah, and I have to real quick. I have to give a shout out to Dustin, who does our Cup Series breakdown and stuff at Daily Fan Racing. He was all over Larson. Like, he picked him as his race winner. He wrote him up really good. I messaged him an hour or so before the race. I was like, sure, pretty high on that Larson guy and kind of low on Truex and Hamlin. And then he got the race win there. So, and Larson was the best car. I mean, honestly, if it wasn't for that pit road contact with Suarez, where, you know, it obviously affected the way his car handled, he probably would have dominated a larger section of that race. He was the best car pretty much from the middle part of that race on, I felt like. So, deserving winner. And then, of course, we got the midweek penalties from Hendrick again, and that whole saga that's been entertaining. But Larson escaped that and gets his win, and that's good for him. Hendrick's firing. I mean, they're just good everywhere right now.
Okay, well, quickly before we move on, first of all, nice haircut, buddy. Jason looking great. Sorry, Ryan looking great. Jason, you too. But Ryan looking great. But Jason, what is that score?
154. That's my first ever archery buck.
There you go. See, those are the important questions. Feel free to ask any more questions in the chat too. Yeah. But we're going to move forward now. We do have Bristol to talk about. And actually, being the novice host I am, this race starts at 7 p.m. Eastern. Correct me if I'm wrong. I thought, you know, maybe be in church or something. Maybe we see the Easter Bunny come by. Who knows? No, I'll be able to watch it. Let's go, guys. I lied, actually. It's my girlfriend's birthday. So that might be important. Who knows? We'll see what happens. But please, Ryan, tell me about what this course is and really what to expect from when we're talking about Bristol as a course.
I mean, you are going to be in an entire different country from her starting like 2 weeks from now. So I don't know how much it really matters.
Oh, damn.
But good luck with the long distance thing.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
So Bristol for any racing fan that's been around for the past, I don't know, 10, 15 years knows Bristol is pretty much the most entertaining track. Back in the late 90s, early 2000s, it was some of the best racing. The track itself is concrete. They redid it in like, I don't know, 2005 or something, and it kind of shook things up, and the racing wasn't quite as good. At the same time, NASCAR's fandom just started going away. Less and less people went to the racetrack, but that track houses 160,000 fans. So it's got a huge amount of people that it could fit in there, but they weren't doing that in the spring. So basically they were getting a very small amount of people to show up to the spring race, and they're trying to find ways to mix it up. And they said, let's throw dirt on it because, you know, dirt fixes everything or something. I don't know. So we got dirt racing in the NASCAR Cup Series. We have the best drivers, the best teams, the best everything. And instead of letting them do what they do best, we now throw dirt out there and tell them to go have at it and wreck a bunch of cars. So it you know, when you go to a local dirt track for a late model dirt race, it's a 40 or 50 lap feature maybe. Some are going to be 30 laps. This is a 250 lap race. The track changes massively over the course of the race. The first segment's a lot different than the middle of the race. Then towards the end, it's going to race a lot more like a short track in instances. So much rubber gets laid down. They did better last year of working on it, you know, but it's still not what dirt is meant to be. So the race can be a little funky. You know, it literally is what you think if you've watched a dirt race with World of Outlaws or anything. It's like that, but it's just with 3,400-pound cars that aren't meant for dirt, that have windshields that get covered in mud, that have motors that blow because they have dirt. And like, it was a mess last year. 32.8% of the laps ran under caution. The average green flag run was 11 laps. Like it's very difficult for these cars, for 40 or 37 of these cars to be on this track with the dirt and everything. It's a bit of a mess. And so from a DFS perspective, it makes it difficult, but from watching it, it can be frustrating, at least for me. And I know Jason likes it. Jason's going to speak highly about it, but for me, the way this racetrack sets up with dirt is just not good. And it kind of makes it difficult. I know I rambled and got off topic a little bit, but it's in my brain right now.
That's okay, man. That's okay, man. I have questions about this one. It seems like a different concept, and it does going to run differently, like Ryan said. But Jason, how does it impact the drivers? Are there going to be different drivers who are going to be more prepared for this kind of race? Like, are they going to be training like in one of the greatest movies ever, like Cars, when Doc Hudson was out there with Lightning McQueen? Are they going to be doing that at all? How do they prepare for this, and how does it impact the drivers?
No, but this type of racing is definitely suited to a certain style of race car driver, right? The guys who grew up on dirt racing, who know how to read a track. Like, am I frozen?
No. Yeah, he just froze. All right, well, I'll take it over. So yeah, it definitely favors, the first race it did not. The first race had so much rubber buildup that it ran like a short track, and that's why we saw Joey Logano win. We saw a lot of guys that were good at short track racing run better. But go ahead, Jason, take back over. And it does supposed to favor dirt racers, which is why we saw Reddick and Briscoe battling out towards the end. But then Kyle Busch wins. So how do you judge that exactly?
Yeah. Like you said, this type of racing does tend itself to be those dirt racers, especially last year with the way the track was taken care of, and it ran more like a dirt race. Like, but we don't know like what kind of track we're going to get this year, right? We don't know what kind of clay, what it's going to look like, and it looks like a lot of our practice is going to get rained out this week. We might even get the heat races rained out. So like, it's really, you're really going to want to focus on those guys who have that dirt race experience, who can read that track and are going to be able to adjust on the fly. So I think it's going to make their experience come to life a lot more in this race. But as far as like weeding through the carnage, like you said, 24 total cautions in the last two races, like how to get through that mess and that minefield is going to be key to winning this week in DFS. But different though than like Daytona, right? We see a lot of cautions, but we still guys make it to the finish. Like, we don't see a lot of attrition. Like, only 5 to 6 cars didn't make it to the end of the race. And a lot of that was mechanical issues. Like, these guys can bump off each other, get in these accidents, can continue on the race. Still a lot of cars on the lead lap. Obviously, a lot of cautions mean a lot of cars in the lead lap. So you get those cautions late, you can get guys who can move up through the field. Like, passing here is easy. It's not like we've seen on these short flat tracks where guys can have trouble making it through the field. Like, guys will be able to come from the back to the front. Like we saw Briscoe last year, right? Had a trouble early, was able to work his way back front and contend for that lead. So I think it makes for a fun race. Dominators, of course, are going to be important. 250 laps. We saw a lot of the top scorers in the last two races here have been those dominator points. Those guys up towards the top 4 scorers in DraftKings are guys who are scoring those dominators. So that's going to be a focus this week, is hitting those dominators, hitting those fast laps, and then kind of, is it going to be position differential? Is it going to be guys who just finished? Like, I don't know. I think you got to have guys who survive in those dominators.
I think real quick on the dominator front, they are important. Like, if you got a guy like Truex that leads 126 laps, or Reddick that leads 100, that's obviously important. But they aren't, the dominators aren't accumulating as many fast laps as you might imagine, or maybe I'm just reading that wrong. But like, Tyler Reddick only got 27 fast laps, even though he was clearly the fastest car last year, or at least one of about 2 or 3. When I see a performance where a guy leads 100 laps, and I guess that's mainly because it's under caution, right? We spend so much of this race under caution that they can't accumulate the fast laps.
Right.
So a guy like Daniel, and this is maybe more for Daniel Suarez, who's been that number 2 dominator for both these races, or has led over 50 laps in both the races. He's able to get these laps led, but he might not necessarily get the fast laps. So he had 64 laps led and only 7 fast laps. And so while he did add 20 dominator points and he was a factor, there's always a chance that he doesn't finish well and that he actually just spins out or crashes something late, and he's a horrible play. So I just feel like the separation maybe isn't as big here as like we saw last week with a dominator. I guess maybe that's what I'm trying to get to. And that's, like I said, probably more down to the lack of fast laps because of how much has been spent under caution here. But something I just noticed where I was like, yeah, they're going to get you 60, 65 points, but it might not be that huge thing. So playing place differential plays is, in my opinion, just as important if you get good options. I know in my picks for our drivers to watch, I focus on what if qualifying or the heat races got rained out. What if we did not have a field was set by racing, but by the formula for this race? So there could be some guys starting in the back that offer good place differential in this event.
Yeah, well, I see we dive into that. It's been a fun show already. I managed to slip a Cars reference in. I got outed for moving from the Great White North down to the States. It's been fun so far. We are going to talk about our drivers to watch regardless of position, but quickly, let's answer another question about the start of track. Ryan, just based off of style the past couple of races here on the dirt, do we stack the front or the back on these type of races?
Neither. It's kind of a blend. I think when you look at our race dominators, we've seen them start top 5, and we've also seen them come from mid pack or whatever. But you need those dominators. So you're going to need guys that are probably faster than the rest of the field, obviously. So they're not going to be most likely starting towards the back. But then if you have place differential guys like a guy starting 27th and finishing 7th, or 25th and finishing 5th, like Ryan Blaney did last year, you're kind of wanting a field of both. You're not going to want those. You shouldn't expect like 15, 20 DNFs. You shouldn't expect a Cody Ware to start 35th and then find his way 17th and matter like that. That's not really in play. So I wouldn't really say your lineup construction changes much from a normal race. You want a couple of high-end potential dominators that can separate themselves by leading a bunch of laps, and then you want some place differential guys, and then you're just trying to round out your lineup. So I think it's pretty much a normal build. But how you get there might be a little bit different on who you focus might change. I know for my value play, I'm picking someone who probably might not typically be played most weeks, or at least is someone that's a low, very, very low owned driver. So you can change up your player pool and your selection, but other than that, no, I think you play pretty much the same.
I'll say that I believe that, like, if qualifying gets rained out, I think it's going to open the door for more position differential plays to kind of creep in, right? Because what we have seen in the last 2 years with heat races, the guys who didn't do well in the heat races did not race well, right? I mean, if you looked at the last 2 Bristol races, guys starting 30th or worse, none of them finished inside the top 20. So that's like they couldn't even break the top 20. The guys who typically run in the back in those heat races just do not have the car to move forward. So if we have heat races, you may not be focusing on those back markers, right? Those guys starting 30th on back because they didn't show the speed, right? But if we get qualifying right now, absolutely, there's going to be guys who are starting back there who are going to have fast cars and make it up to the front.
Yeah, and real quick, I know he's not on either one of our drivers to watch, but Jonathan Davenport is a dirt ringer. I know here, I'll go ahead and pull up K-Sizzle's mention any dirt track ringers in play. So, Jonathan Davenport's the only oddity in this race from outside of the NASCAR bubble, and great dirt racer. And he's driving for calling. If qualifying or qualifying, the heat races get rained out and we don't get them, and we start off of a formula, then he's going to start last in a pretty good car. So like he's going to stand out as a play and be super chalky as a result, for good reason, because if he's starting 37th and gets to even 20th, I think he's like 6,600 or something. That's a great play. I wanted to go ahead and highlight him, 1, because I saw the question, but 2, because I know we aren't really planned on him for our value plays. I know we went elsewhere. So yeah, like there is place differential is going to be huge if we don't get a field set by heat races.
Okay, well, let's dive into those drivers to watch quickly. Before we do so, hit the like button down below, subscribe to the channel. Let's talk about who we are targeting this week. Jason, we'll pass it over to you first. Who is your top tier driver to watch at Bristol?
Top tier driver to watch, I'm going to go with my man Joey Logano. Like anytime you go into a race where there's question marks, especially if we get qualifying rained out, if we get practice rained out, give me a guy like Joey Logano, who's a very heady race car driver. He's really knows how to read a track. As a track changes, he's going to be able to adjust to that track, know where to put that car to make it fast. He's shown he's shown to be able to be competitive here, regardless of the track surface. Last year, right, when it was raced more like a dirt race, he was great, ran in the top 5. The year before, obviously, he won when it was a terrible track and it raced more like the old school Bristol. So he can kind of figure out this track regardless of what kind of track type we go to, we show up at. He's already been great this year. He's already got a win. He's got the 3rd most laps led already in 2023. So he's got the momentum. He's got the fast car. He's going to be smart, going to be riding towards the front. Like, for this price, and he's not a known dirt driver, like, yeah, I'm definitely gonna be watching Joey Logano this week.
Okay. And you, Ryan, who is your top tier driver to watch?
So, Jason does this thing where he typically picks the right team, the right organization, but the wrong driver. And he's done it here. He started off really well. So he picked Logano, who won the first race here on the Bristol Dirt. I think he's going to stand out more because of that. And then I'm also thinking about the rain. Hey, we don't get the heat races. We're playing some place differential guys. You got Ryan Blaney, who had a bad Richmond week last week, potentially starting towards the back mid-pack. Finished 5th and 8th here in his 2 starts. Top 10s, good results, 9,500, save a little salary over Logano. I think he has just as much ability to win here. I do. And maybe that's my all Blaneys are good on dirt tracks. His dad, Dave Blaney, great dirt racer. His uncle, great dirt racer. So I'm going to stick within that realm of Ryan Blaney just has it in his blood, even though he doesn't have a huge amount of laps on dirt himself. It's just in his blood, right? Like he's got it. And I think he's going to offer us the potential to be one of those place differential guys. Whereas Logano is going to end up starting closer to the front because of all the things Jason said. He's had a good year. He's running good. He's got these good finishes. He's got a win. He's got all this stuff. Well, he might be starting to the front. Whereas Blaney, who I think will get a lot less ownership, who's cheaper.
If he's starting towards the back,
well, if he's starting towards the back, maybe not. But if we get a lineup that's standard, if they run the heat races and everything plays out, I think Blaney's lower owned. I didn't have that context when I said what I just said, but in my head that was there. So yeah, if we have heat races and they both start 10th, 12th, 15th, whatever in that range, I think Blaney sees less ownership, and so I like the ownership leverage there. I mean, yeah, I think Logano's the better driver. Obviously, I don't think that's a question, but I don't know. I like Blaney, and he's stuck out at only 9,500.
I like the call. Yeah, he's ran great here. I mean, at least you see his runs in the first 2 races here at Bristol. Yeah, there's no argument against that. Yeah.
Okay, well, we're going to stick right with you, Ryan. And it seems like every week we talk about a few drivers over and over again in these drivers to watch. Are you going to stick on that path, or are you going someone new on dirt?
I think I've mentioned him once or twice this year.
He comes up a lot. Spoiler alert.
It's a common theme in what we do. So there's a driver who a lot of people dislike BC Rex, and that's true. He does have a high crash rate, but he's very, very good on dirt. He has a dirt background, and this is really what he started on was dirt, and that's Ricky Stenhouse Jr. So he finished second in the first race here. His price is higher than I wish it was. Like I feel like they overpriced him, but that's a good thing. I feel like that's going to be a thing that keeps people off of him. I think that would kind of reduce the ownership on him. Second here in 2021, like I said, he actually ran top 10 here last year before he got into 2 different incidents. He was in a big 4-car wreck with like Chase Elliott and a couple other guys, and then he actually had a solo incident later in the race. Otherwise, he had top 10 speed. He's another guy that was very poor at Richmond, who will start at the back if we get, he was rained out and is done by the formula. So he will be a huge place difference to play in that aspect. And then he's just a guy that I think can be a top 10 finisher regardless. And I'm hoping even if we get heat races and he qualifies or starts like 12th for the main race, that no one will be on him, that people won't want to play him, or that he'll see some really low ownership. So I think regardless of what the lineup situation is, I think he can be a good driver to look at and consider for lineups for both reasons, whether he's a huge place differential option or he's a pivot option off of the Briscoes and all the other drivers that people, Reddick, Bell, all those guys are up there just above him in price. Maybe you can drop back down to Ricky and get a guy that can finish top 5 again.
Yeah, I think with him, I like him a lot better if heat races don't get rained out. Like I think a chalky Ricky Stenhouse on a dirt track for 8,900 sounds like a risky combination for me. Like I looked at Ricky too, because obviously like he's had 2 great runs here, and it's like that price at 8,900. Like I said, I do like him a lot more if he's starting, like you said, top 12, top 13, where nobody's going to play him. But if it does get rained out and he's starting towards the back, everybody's going to be jamming Ricky because of that. Yeah. Chalk Ricky, oh god, I don't know.
So much fun, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we talked about Ricky, and usually when we talk about Ricky, we talk about Chastain because isn't he like a 2.0 Chastain or something like that?
By the way, you guys, I'm fully on board. I'm a Ross Chastain fan. I have picked a favorite driver for the first time in about 15 years. I'm a Ross Chastain fan.
Wow.
Yes. Yes, I love it.
I'm on board.
Well-
I'm all for saying Ross Chastain does something stupid when he does something stupid, but he has literally just become the guy you blame for if you suck. So you mess up, you blame Ross. And that to me, that sealed it. I already liked him. I like the aggressive nature. I like his style. Chalk Ricky is very scary. But yeah, I'm on board. I'm full Ross. I'm full team Ross. I love when he's like, they don't say this shit to my face.
Yeah.
They don't come up to me and say, hey, why'd you do that? So yeah, I'm on board. I like him.
Yes.
All right. Well, are we going to talk about Ross here? Who's your mid-tier driver to watch, Jason?
I ain't playing Ross Chastain this week though. I love him. I ain't playing him on dirt. I mean, I can't get there. I tried, but no. My guy to watch here in this range is going to be a guy I don't think I've talked about at all this year is Alex Bowman. Alex Bowman, he's already shown obviously a ton of speed already this year, right? I mean, Blake Harris that has been a great addition for him, and it's showing with his results. He's got the second best driver rating right now so far in 2023, second best average finish, only behind his teammate William Byron. So he's right there towards the front. 3 top 5s already, 4 top 10s in 2023. He's been dabbling a little bit more in dirt races. He's been making some starts here and there and some sprint rides. So he's been getting his experience there, getting that up more. And it's actually showed last year. It showed in this race. He showed up with a 6th place finish, so it's showing some improvement. This price right here is really good for 8,500. You're getting a Hendrick Motorsport car. These cars have been fast. I love Bowman here for this price.
Okay, well, we're going to stick with you when we talk about prices. We're talking about value tier next, Jason. So who is your value tier driver to watch?
Yeah, value tier is going to be a tricky one this week. I think there's a lot of routes you can go, especially if we get qualifying rained out, right, and we get some position differential plays. A guy but if we're talking about a race that's going to get chaotic, right, there's going to be a lot of accidents. A guy who's shown that he can dodge the accidents, keep a car clean, and be there at the finish when races get dicey like this is Michael McDowell. He's not a sexy pick. But he, like I said, he can avoid that chaos. He can potentially provide you a solid finish, top 12, top 10 finish if he's there at the end. He's having a solid year. He's already got 4 top 20s this year. That's even, like I said, losing Blake Harris. Got an average finish of 17.5 this year. His first 2 races here, at Bristol Dirt, both been running inside the top 12, finishing inside the top 12, gained positions from a starting position in each of those races. Just a good, solid play. Like I said, I don't think he's going to be a huge GPP play, but I think he's definitely a nice, safe play on a race that you're going to be looking for guys who are going to finish.
Okay, well, Ryan, are you going to go that same route? Are you going to go towards that safe route for your value tier? Or are you going to take someone a bit riskier?
I don't know how Jason does it. He did it yet again. He picked the wrong driver from an organization. Front row only has 2 drivers. You only have 2 options, and he picked the wrong one. For my driver,
Todd Gilliland.
for the value tier is Todd Gilliland at 5,300. We talked about how much we like higher price guys in Bell and Reddick and all the guys. Everyone's going to be on all those dirt racers. The Kyle Larson love fest that's been all week long on Twitter. Dude, they sprinkle a little dirt on Bristol, and the people start imagining Kyle Larson as the greatest driver of all time. It's the craziest thing. But all the dirt racers are priced up. DK knows this, and the betting odds reflect it, that you're going to get all these guys at the top tier that we're going to want. Ricky Stenhouse is even 8,900, right? And I mentioned him. There's not a lot of good cheap plays. So you're going to need that salary. That's the first reason. The second thing with Todd Gilliland is 17th here last year. Not as good as his teammate McDowell. That's okay. It was his first Cup race here. I don't know the circumstances. I didn't watch the race back. I don't care to watch that race back ever.
McDowell second.
But here's the thing. He won the Knoxville dirt race in the Truck Series last year. Dominated it. I mean, kicked everyone's ass. 4th the year before that at Knoxville. 5th at Eldora, the race before that on dirt. Very good, consistent results on dirt in the Truck Series. Then steps into the Cup car, has a good, solid 17th place result. Again, only 5,300. So I get the safe salary. I get a driver who typically doesn't see a lot of ownership. Maybe he will get it on dirt this year. I don't know. People do weird things. Maybe everyone watches this video and thinks I'm the smartest man in the world. Who knows? But no, that ain't happening. But it's a guy that has a proven track record on dirt. These are good finishes. This is all we have to go off of, and they're all good. So I feel like for the price, regardless of where he starts, I think he gives us top 15 upside. And if he can get anything above 30 points at 5,300, he's a great play, and he's going to open things up salary wise elsewhere.
Okay, and you know what? Actually, a really important question. How does the race get impacted if it does rain? Ryan?
So they won't run on it if it's too wet. You can't run on a dirt track if it's too wet. Presumably, I don't think it's supposed to rain on Sunday. I think it'll be cleared out by Saturday. Bristol is in the mountains, and yes, rain can kind of hover in that range, in that area. I used to live 10 minutes from that track, so yeah, I used to live it. But it's a situation where by race time for the Cup Series, it should be good to go. I do not think they will run or the trucks that morning. If trucks get rained out, I think they might save that till Monday even, because it would be too many laps on that track in one day, I believe. I don't know. Who knows? NASCAR does whatever they want. But I have a feeling they won't run them on the same day. But it will be really tough if they did. That would make the track really bad Sunday if they ran both races. They had, whatever it is, 400 laps on that track. That would be the biggest thing, but it should be dried out and good enough for the race on Sunday. I wouldn't really worry about it. But yeah, if it's moist, if it's overly moist, yeah, you'll get mud everywhere. Windshields will cover it. It'll be hectic. So, and that's the thing. NASCAR can't run it when it's wet because the windshields get covered, and real dirt cars don't have windshields. So it's kind of a dilemma that impacts only NASCAR.
All right. Well, I say we move on, but before we do, I need everyone to look at me here. This is my time. I need to talk for a second here, because don't think I forgot. Do not think I forgot about anything. Last week, not only did we get one of our biggest increased subscribers, not only had our biggest most amount of views on a single video, but I'm sharing my screen, guys. Something really important happened last week, and I'm taking full credit for this. We gave out the winner last week. Did you guys know that?
No.
Know that?
Oh,
the wheel picked the winner. The wheel, I'm the wheel won. How crazy is that? Do I get any like praise for that or anything?
Good job.
Thank you. That's all I wanted to hear. How wild is that? That's never going to happen again. That a random chance.
Probably will happen more often than we will pick it right.
You know what? I blew Jason's mind so much he left. You know what?
Broke his computer or his phone or whatever he uses.
Well, if we're waiting for him, I'll spin the wheel again, because it worked last week. I'm doing it again. We're gonna see if I can pick a winner back-to-back weeks by random chance with a wheel. And
Jason, what's happening in your dungeon?
I don't know. It's been terrible. Sorry, guys. It's been a terrible, terrible, terrible podcast for me tonight. So I'll promise to try to do better next week.
You're like Denny Hamlin.
Man, it's just terrible.
All right, here comes the wheel of winners for.
Kay is also saying, what happens if you have come first place in the mini max because of it? The one time I entered a lineup from the wheel, I cashed. I'm just saying something about this thing. I'm in love with this. All right.
Are you doing a lineup here?
No, we're just doing one winner, because last week I picked the winner, and this week the winner is going to be. Oh, I thought it was going to be Blaney. Oh, imagine it said Yaley. I would be so happy.
No,
maybe it just wasn't feeling me today.
You're gonna need about 29 cars to wreck.
Go ahead and do one more spin. Get rid of him.
You want me to do
that
one
was
more?
Not lucky. Get one more, and then we'll get into ours.
This is the first time I've had a double spin on the wheel. Oh no. Yeah, it's just not its week. It's the dirt. The dirt's messing it up.
Okay, yeah, you can move on. You're not winning anything.
Yeah, we can get out of here. Let's talk about your guys'. The real reason why people are here. Jason, we'll start with you. Who is your race winner this week?
Well, everybody knows if you sprinkle a little bit of dirt on Bristol, all of a sudden Kyle Larson becomes the world's greatest race car driver, and is the guy to win. Did I just freeze up again?
No, you're good.
You're yeah.
Nope. You did.
He does.
Does it like see in the future?
Yeah, it's weird. He can call his freezing 3 seconds before it happens. All right. So Jason's picking Kyle Larson. I don't know what's happening in Michigan. It just bad internet or something. The infrastructure is horrible up there. They don't even have good water. The whole state's awful. So Kyle Larson is the favorite. He's the betting favorite for a reason. All right. And I understand that. I get it.
Can I finish? Can I finish what I was going to say?
I don't know. You might disappear again in 5 seconds.
No, I'm back. I'm back.
Okay.
Go. Kyle Larson, okay, I don't need to explain the pick, why Kyle Larson is great on dirt. And, obviously he's been the best car all year, right? He's been dominant. But this pick is simply to knock Kyle Larson off of his horse, right? Because if anybody can jinx and get Kyle Larson off his hot run, it's going to be me picking him right here. So, this means I don't have to play him this week. I don't have to play the Larson shot because this right here is going to eliminate his chances of winning. I take Kyle Larson.
Okay. That is a strategy above all strategies. That is, you're really thinking ahead there. You know what? Just the same way you're calling your freezing before you even freeze, you're jinxing them. All right, Ryan, do you think Kyle Larson is the greatest driver of all time?
Yeah, man. Did you know he just literally, while we were recording this, he won a dirt race? It literally was happening. He just went out and won a dirt race. He has a special event every year, the Kyle Larson Spectacular, named after himself. And, he went out there and won it, believe it or not. So, yeah, he should win it.
Who should win it? Come on, tell the people.
Well, if I'm not being a chalk connoisseur like Jason over here, just picking the favorite, I'm going to pick the fourth favorite, and that's Chase Briscoe. So I went out on a limb. I almost put Daniel Suarez just for the fun of it. But, there's really, I think, 4 or 5 guys that most of the people will be on. Larson, one of them. Reddick, probably the second favorite, I would say, in most people's eyes. Christopher Bell gets some love, even though he hasn't really earned it in the first 2 races here. And then, I think Briscoe's in that group as well. So I think those 4 guys are probably the quote-unquote favorites heading into the race. I thought Briscoe was – if Reddick was the best, then Briscoe was 1B. He was right there. He was very, very fast, closing in at the end. He made a horrible move there on the last lap that cost me a bunch of money. But he was super fast that whole race. He should have been finishing in the top 5. And I expect him to do well this week. If it's, he obviously ran good in the truck series on dirt as well. He's got a dirt background. I expect him to run good. And plus 1,000, not bad. 10 to 1's not bad. So maybe we get a little love there. But I think Chase Briscoe wins this one. It feels like the type of race he can go out there and win and set himself up for the playoffs and appear to have a good season, even though Stewart Haas is pretty mediocre overall.
I know you touched on Reddick a moment. Does him being at 2311 concern you at all coming into this week? As far as how because they didn't have hardly any speed here last year. I know they're different drivers. I know he's a different caliber guy on the dirt, but they have no fast laps. Even Kurt Busch didn't look very good here. Average positions just 19th and 20th. Just no speed, right?
It's Kurt Busch and Bubba Wallace.
I get it. Like I said, I know.
That. There's definitely some concern. Even Bell wasn't overly fast. He finished 7th, but he wasn't to me, he wasn't this obvious contender. And then, Truex, who was great in 2021, was really mediocre or pretty average. He wasn't really part of things. So, yeah, there's some
especially concern. When he's going in, especially if we get stuff rained out, practice qualifying. Now he's got to go into this car, at this race with his new team, right? That is first time he's at this track with this team, right? And how do they have the car set up? How he wants the car set up when he rides dirt. I know they got simulators and all that, and they probably got it figured out. But I don't know. I feel that might. There's a little bit of there could be cause for concern for Reddick. As long as it's a slam dunk, the other guys. I'm more confident with Larson and Briscoe, I think.
That's also partly why I went with Briscoe, but we also had that same feeling going in Dakota.
Right. You're right.
And that's so right. I think sometimes drivers can overcome even mediocre cars.
You're right.
And so there should be concern, but it's a dirt race. I don't know how much they can really set up for. If it was the 2021 race, it was a short track, then that would concern me. But if it races more like a dirt race and the dirt guys can have an advantage, I feel now the question comes, can he dominate? Not if he can be good. He might be able to run good and overcome a car that might not be as good, but
finish top 3. Right?
Yeah, the price is expensive and stuff with him. So, there should be a little concern.
All right. I was gonna make another Cars joke, but I say we just move on and end up the show.
Before I freeze to go again, please close this thing.
That's okay. That's okay. We're going to get out of here, guys. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to the Daily Fan Racing NASCAR Cup Series DFS preview for Bristol this week. As always, I ask you guys to please hit the like button down below, subscribe to the channel, show some love to these two guys beside me. I'm going to pass it to them before they hopefully don't lag out. And we're going to get out of here. I wish everybody the best of luck on their racing endeavors, especially you two. Jason, where can they find you?
Can find my stuff every week at runpuresports.com. Put out article, cheat sheet, course, all that good stuff. It should be out Sunday morning. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have something out for Easter, so you guys will have that for in your Easter basket for free, waiting for you in the morning. We also do a live stream every Sunday as well. Myself, Coop Dog, Uncle Dunkle. We go over the slate. Coop Dog goes through his playbook, all that stuff. That's free on the Run Pure Sports YouTube channel as well.
All right. And what about you, Mr. Daily Fan Racing? What does your weekend entail? Is it a busy one or do you finally get to relax?
Dude, it's so relaxing. I got a little truck content, maybe, depending on how that works out. We'll see how it goes. Tight window, depending on if they cancel heat races or push back. I don't know how much I'll actually get to do there. We'll definitely have some stuff. We'll have to do it as best we can. And then we'll have the full cup slate like we always do, full breakdown. Cup strategy article from Luke, and then we'll have projections, the whole gambit. I'll do a cast and ramble on some more, much like we did tonight, and I'll do that with you if you're available during the UFC card. No, I can't do it.
Girlfriend's birthday, so I don't know if I can on Saturday.
How is it Saturday and Sunday? She can't have two.
It's
birthdays.
not Sunday. It's not Sunday. I said I can't watch the fights on Saturday.
You know, my dad did that, right? Like he was like, "Yeah, my head came out at 11:59 and my feet came out at 12:01, so I have two birthdays."
No, I ain't lying to you. I ain't lying to you. If it's Sunday, I'd be happy to.
It's dirt racing. I'll have Jason do it and we'll put it out for free.
It's fine. You know what? I'm ending the show. That's going to do it for us here on the Daily Fan Racing YouTube channel. I love you guys both. So thank you very much for your insight this week. And I wish you guys the best of luck. Same with you guys, everybody watching right now, watching after the fact. Best of luck in all your betting and gambling endeavors this weekend. And let's make some money, guys. Peace.